So this is my new template, and it is populated with 414 tracks. Inside this 414 tracks, we have some pointless tracks like this and this, and these are no output tracks, which I use for just a visual goal, so to visually separate and organize your structure, your tracks. If you want to know how to create this no output track, you just want to follow this link here above. So anyway, we have the main orchestral section. I mean, this is an orchestral template. So we have strings, winds, brass, drums, keys, and vocals, and this last track, the so-called DEP track, is where I usually have collect my MIDI score of comprehending all the main melodies and harmonies, in order to have it protected, let's say, in my royalties company here in Italy, which is CI. And what else? Let's see what we have inside of this main folder, this main orchestral section. So we have here the first one, string. Okay, we have violin, we have viola, cello, bass, FX, and ensemble. If we then open this subfolder, we have violin, MS violin, and this is the structure I used to rename in all my tracks. So the first two letters here stands for the name, the short name of the sample developer. So MS in this case, I think, is modern scoring string. This BS stands for best service, emotional violin solo. IN stands for indigenous, and so on and so forth. Some strings that coming out from 8-dio Majestica strings. HP is... my memory does not serve me now in this moment to recall the right name. But anyway, dio, BS, best service, complete. We take a look to the ensemble one. Ensemble one, we have these subfolders structured by the sample developer name, and we have even runs here, and we have some other strings ensemble, just ready to use at your fingertips. So we have Project Sam string quartet, Project Sam 3 ensemble string phrases, Orchestral Inspire, ensemble, Orchestral macro, micro, and whatnot. I mean, you just can get the gist of how time-consuming this whole bloody work of consists in renaming and loading up the instrument and coloring and creating subfolder. And by the way, the way I've created these subfolders, which are just folders, not track stacks, but folder stacks, is a little bit tricky and weird one, and you can learn how to do that if you want to follow this link here above. Anyway, same thing here. So for winds, FA is fluffy audio, blue harmonica, fluffy audio Corina, fluffy audio Joe harp. Then we have some other subfolders like piccolo, flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, sax, ensembles. So we have here piccolo and flute and oboe and clarinet. Same thing for brass. CS is CH is Chris Hine, Cimbasso, Chris Hine, Alphorn, stress of sampling, and NOB is New Orleans brass, and so on. Horn ensemble, trumpet, bones here, bones ensemble, tuba, same thing for drums. I mean, I've chosen to color with a light color the final track, which is containing the actual final instrument, and the folder, which stands in a much higher level of hierarchy, are colored with a darker color here. So these are actual tracks containing the actual instruments, and these are folders containing in turn the final track. Okay, so ensemble, drums ensemble, drums, drum, and drum loops. So strings, wind, brass, drums, keys. I mean, you got the gist here. Piano, accordion, harp, organ, bells, bass, guitar, effects, lumina. For instance, I've created just a subfolder just for lumina, which is one of my favorite and much appreciated sample library, which I use for this kind of comedy orchestral scores. Then we have synth. Then we have animator, which is another one. Amazing library for sort of cartoon, comedy orchestral cartoon, quirky sounds. And marimbas here. And then we have the final tracks with some instruments here ready to use. And let's close it up here. And then we have vocals, just a few of them. I mean, I don't use very much vocals. Yeah, anyway, this is the work I've made inside of Logic. Now let's check the VEPro template, and this is, so we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 Vienna Ensemble Pro instances, and each instance here in Vienna Ensemble Pro is containing 25 instruments, which are correspondent to the relative tracks here in Logic, obviously. So for instance, you wanna listen to the sound of violin, MS violins here. Okay, let's try. Oh, come on, it doesn't play, I can't hear anything. That's a good point. Fact is that all these instruments collected in all these 15 instances are just disabled. And I have chosen to have this kind of template structure in order to load up all these instruments, all these instances, all these tracks in Logic in a way less amount of time. So anyway, you want to listen to this MS violin, you have to enable it by pressing this last key on my keyboard, which is the C8, and you see. And the more you play, the more Vienna Ensemble Pro will detect your playing and will let you jump directly to the right track, the right channel here in Vienna Ensemble Pro, which is obviously MS violins. How can you enable, an instrument just from Logic, enable or disable? I mean, here is enable, but I can also obviously disable by playing the B7 here on my keyboard. Disabled, enabled. Okay. How can you realize this enabling or disabling process?
By subscribing to the channel, by clicking the bell icon to be notified, and by watching the next video. Bye!